Our book of the month, called The Last Caretaker, is an empowering and provocative page-turner about what a person will risk to do what's right. We're joined by the book's author. We have Jessica Strawser here, and the founder of Littsburgh, Rachel Ekstrom-Courage. Thank you both for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
So, Jess, I want to start with you first. You're from Pittsburgh. You live in Cincinnati now, but tell us about this novel that you wrote.
The Last Caretaker is about a woman looking to start over after a divorce who takes a job as resident caretaker on a nature reserve. And she quickly discovers that her new home is hiding a safe house being used by this underground whisper network to help domestic violence victims escape and assume new identities.
Wow.
So it is clear that caretaking involves way more than she bargained for, and a bit of a mystery too, because no one seems to know what happened to the last caretaker.
What inspired you to write this book? How did you come up with this idea?
The frame of the story is really based on a real nature reserve near my house where I like to hike. And as a woman and a writer with an overactive imagination, I like to go to this particular nature reserve because you have to be a member of the Cincinnati Nature Center to hike there. So it's very remote. There's an unmanned gate. You have to swipe a card to get in, and there's no facilities or anything there. The only thing there is a caretaker's house.
Oh,
so you
wow.
sort of have this sense of security that at least someone's keeping track of who's coming in and out. But then I got to wondering if it was a false sense of security and
like
what it
was
would
happening. Wow, you do have an active imagination.
Yeah,
I love this.
What it would really be like to be out there all by yourself at all hours. So I kind of dreamed up a caretaker who sees it as sort of an opportunity to be master of her own domain, where it's not the caretaker's out here all alone and no one's paying attention to what's going on, but the caretaker's out here all alone and no one's paying attention to what's going on.
So Rachel, I kind of get a sense of why you would choose this book, but tell me what you loved so much about it.
Okay, well, first of all, the premise immediately gripped me. I mean, who doesn't fantasize about maybe starting over in a cabin in the woods? But obviously there's more to it than that, and there are also some really interesting, serious subjects that Jessica handles with such a delicate touch. So I think this book is really thought-provoking, and it's good for anyone who wants to read a page-turner, but also have a thoughtful conversation about some of these more serious issues. And the writing is just gorgeous.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up too, because Jessica, this is your second novel, and you've written about domestic violence, or this is the second one dealing with domestic violence.
Correct. I wrote, this is my 6th novel, but I did about 5 years ago write a novel called Not That I Could Tell, which dealt a little bit with domestic violence, again in a suspenseful storyline, but I was blown away by the reader response to that book. I had written it because I was inspired to write it because I'd lost a friend in a domestic violence incident. But it was really more the volunteer work I'd done and the research I'd done that inspired that book. And then women are inviting me into their book clubs and writing into my inbox and sharing their own stories with me. And there was one book club in particular where I was at their meeting in a home where they had hidden one of their own members from her ex-husband for a whole month.
Wow. Because
he kept walking through a restraining order and they were worried for her safety. So
wow.
I really saw what people will do to help a friend or a stranger or a neighbor if they know that they need help, and that kind of led me to come up with a storyline to kind of celebrate that more empowering sisterhood.
I mean, to hear some of the stories, you know, it has to be really hard to hear those, but also know that you're helping tell some of that in a way.
I think there's this stigma that sweeps it under the rug, and when you write a book about it and you get invited to a book club, or even if you're not invited, suddenly readers are talking about it and how it applies to their own life, and that's really important. Then it's not about the book anymore, it's about, you know, how it applies in real life and helps break down that stigma little by little.
I love book clubs. That's why we do this. It gets us talking about real life and how it applies in some of these books. Rachel, you have a bunch of events that are coming up, and one of them happens to be today because it's your birthday.
Yes.
We got to give you a little birthday shout out.
Thank you so much.
It may not be on your list there, but we wanted to say happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Well, I can't think of a better way to spend it than being here. And then tonight, there's a great event with Jessica Strawser, our Book of the Month pick. She'll be at the Penguin Bookshop tonight in Sewickley signing books.
Wonderful.
And if you can't make it tonight, there will be signed copies afterwards for your holiday shopping. On December 9th, we have Children's Story Time with local picture book author Joy Givens. That's also at Penguin Bookshop. December 11th, we have Pittsburgh Arts and Lectures hosting Rebecca Mackay, who is a finalist for the National Book Award and the Pulitzer. And December 12th, we have the award-winning Toy Daracot at City of Asylum for a night of poetry and music.
That sounds wonderful. There's so many great events that are happening.
Yes, and please check out Littsburgh.com because we've got a full roster of events and lots of local authors and excerpts to help you with your holiday shopping.
Well, so glad to spend some time with you on your birthday. And Jessica, such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
And we're going to have more information on how you can get a copy, your own copy of The Last Caretaker on our website. Just head to kdka.com/talkpittsburgh. We'll also have information about Littsburgh as well. Still to come on the show, the couple that cooks together stays together. We're meeting the local husbands who have gone viral for their antics in the kitchen. That's up next. Stay with us.